I'm Kiki Yimutka. I am from Helsinki, Finland. If somebody doesn't know where Helsinki, Finland is, please let me know. We're located between Russia and Sweden. And Helsinki is the most, no, it's not the most southern town, but it is quite south. I will try to keep it short. I like to talk and I like to get lost in time and space. So I'm going to start with a little composition called Push the Button, and this is by composer Karen Rosenbaum. And this is linked to very closely to my quest since I was since I was 15, and that I've been kind of what I've been searching and what I've been kind of, let's say, what has been my research and what has been my own exploration in this world that I've been looking for answers. And this is very simple. I'm going to ask you, each of one of you, what's your sound? And you tell me whatever comes to your mind, what is your sound? It can be whoo, or whatever comes out. What's your sound? What's your sound? Do. What's your sound? B. What's your sound? What's your sound? What's your sound? What's your sound? Ah. What's your sound? Ma. What's your sound? What's your sound? Ra. What's your sound? That's a very powerful sound. Okay, so when I do this, you start. When I do this, you stop. When I do this, you make it bigger. When I do this, you make it smaller. When I do this, you make it shorter. And when I do this, you make it longer. And when I do this, you do... Oh, actually, no, I'm going to change my sound. You're going to laugh. I'm going to force laugh. So, Alicia? Are you clear? So when I do this, you start. When I do this, you stop. When I do this, you make it bigger. When I do this, you make it shorter. When I do this, oh no, smaller. This is shorter, and this is longer. Nice. Okay. Are you ready? So all you need to do is to do your sound and then amplify it in different ways according to my conduct. Okay? You were covering a lot of topics that has been part of this journey, and I am, in a way, always lived a double reality in the sense that I am. You can look at me as a product of a Finnish welfare state. I grew up in what is considered maybe what would be a proper term. It's an area which is considered it's culturally diverse and a low income. How would you call it? It's not considered. It's a very good area. Still, where I studied, my elementary school was called. It was a positive discrimination school. So we grew up. We were the first class who started there. It was from grade 1 to 6, and we had really nice facilities, really amazing teachers. Our themes were nature. And so we were surrounded, we were next to nature, and we were the partnership school with the zoo. So we got to go and clean the zoo and go learn about the animals and stuff. And so I grew up in this bubble of thinking that we're all coming, in this very nice, actually I had a nice childhood. I was doing long distance running. I did lots of cross-country skiing, and somebody would say, yeah, there was a year, I told you yesterday about the paddle, but we were doing lots of things in the nature. We were learning things from nice teachers in school. We were, everything was I had a good childhood. And then I ended up going to a high school in the city. I couldn't get into the sports high school, and so I went to a normal high school. I had been in a sports class before, so we were all the students were very into their practicing and so on. And then suddenly I went to this high school, which was all about, it was completely another world. It was all about brands, and it was all about what are you wearing, who are you wearing, what are your parents doing, what is the wealth of your family. And, 5 minutes. And I couldn't get what was going on. And it was like I couldn't understand what was going on. But what I understood all the time was that I started understanding that where I come from is somehow shameful. And it's not okay for these kids. It wakes up big. It was not okay to be from there where I was coming from. So suddenly I was starting to hide my identity. I became this cultural diplomat. I would get along with everyone, but no one really knew where I was coming from. And I kept it I was being myself, and I was looking people at who they were. I grew up with a single dad with 2 brothers, and so I grew up almost as a boy. Like I was always been very feminine, but at the same time I was very much wired to think like a guy, very black and white, very straightforward. And it took me it's been now good 15 years that I've been kind of realizing that what is this whole, what it is to be a woman, and what is to be create things, and that there's what is this whole thing about to be a woman, and to be comfortable in your skin, and to understand who you are, and what is okay and what is not okay. Anyways, long story short, I left. I wanted to go and study political history in a university, but then I didn't get in as the first. In Finland, you apply through entry exams, and I didn't get in. And then that was when life took a turn for me for the first time. I wanted to learn French, get my French fluent. So I happened to sit next to someone in a wedding who said, "Oh, you should go and apply to be a nanny in Switzerland. There's this friendship organization between Finland. Just contact them and see what happens." And I did that, and I ended up as a nanny in Switzerland. And then suddenly we ended up moving. It was the most amazing thing, and we moved to Sweden. And I ended up learning Swedish. Is it 3 minutes? Okay, 2 minutes. I ended up learning Swedish, and I ended up from there studying in Sweden, business in Swedish, which was my 3rd language. And I decided that no matter what, I'm going to learn this language, and I'm going to be able to study here. And I ended up going. It was not what I wanted to study, but it was some sort of it was again something that happened, and it all makes sense in the end. And then I ended up going to study actually in the school of Swedish school of business school in Finland, and I was trained in marketing. And this was something that people looked at me. They said, "You're going to be an amazing salesperson. There's this life in you that you're going to be an amazing salesperson." And I'm like, I wanted to study political history, but let's go for it. And I did that because I had some friends going in there. And then I realized, it took me quite a long time, that I realized what it was to actually study marketing. It was very much creating, you had to find ways to create unnecessary needs for people so that they would consume more. And this was started to be, when I realized this, I'm like, I don't want to be studying brainwashing, and it gives you powers. And I'm a very visual person because I have my sensory experience is very much that when a person talks to me, I see everything in pictures. So I build up very clear visual maps, and it's easy for me when somebody gives me a task to see different solutions very quickly and build it up visually. And that gives power to you a lot, like we were talking about. So I ended up leaving the business school, going to Sibelius Academy, and for my studies in Sibelius Academy, I have been trying to figure out how can what I've learned in the business school, how can I use it to actually work with things that are coming from a good place. And yes, okay. And pretty much then for my master thesis, I've been researching creative fear to find out what is this going on that with a lot of the artists that I work with, that they are very blocked in their processes, and many of them either quit or collapse very simply. And I've been thinking that, okay, I want to understand what is the process of what happens in the creative process. So I put myself in the role of an artist for 1 year, and this was the result of what happened. And then that process has been going on for the last 3 years, and it's been very much a very strong process of individuation that I've gone through, and there's many things that are very hard to explain, and there are many, I could stand here for 3 hours, but because Alicia's saying there's a strict timetable, I would like to say that I'm very happy to be here, and
she will also have a workshop discussion.
Yeah, so come and
continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm Kiki from Finland, and now I'm in Wisconsin to hear this, and it is nice to hear very different views and get a very different kind of backgrounds of things. But I don't know. Sorry, you take over.